Hello, welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker, a real estate investor helping you realize your dream of owning a home or investing in one. Well, today's question is, how many properties should I own? Or how many investments should I have? Well, there's a number of factors that you would use to determine how many properties you should buy. First of all, how much money do you want to make? And how much money you want to make depends on what your goals are. Like, do you want to be a full-time investor? Or do you want to be a part-time investor? Is the money that you make going to be just for retirement? Or is it just a side hustle? Or are you recession proofing? Or is this for financial security? You have to decide based on those goals how much money you want to make. And then you work from there to determine how many properties you should actually own. And let me just tell you this. When you hear people say things like they buy a house a month or 5 houses a month or 20 houses a month, if you're a newbie, please do not think that you can do that right away. That is something that you have to build up to. When you're a newbie, just take your time and buy what you can afford and work from there. Learn from your mistakes. Learn to perfect what you already have before you go ahead and start buying multiple properties in a month. The other thing, too, that I want to just draw your attention to is this. How much money you make varies. Like, I have seen people who say, oh, buy 6 properties, 6 multifamily properties, and you'll be set for life. Well, here's the thing. One multifamily house in New York City, the income is equivalent to 8 multifamily homes in North Carolina, Greenville in particular. So you can't say that 6 homes, no matter where you are in the country, is going to provide you with the same income. It's not. Okay? And the other thing is, in many cases, when it comes to commercial property, I would say most of the time apartment buildings are going to give you more bang for your buck and may be a better strategy than buying 6 individual properties. But then again, you have to buy according to what you can afford and what you can mentally maintain. That won't drive you crazy, because peace of mind is just as important as how much money you actually are going to make. The next thing I want to talk about is strategy. Different strategies are going to produce different incomes. For example, what a landlord makes and what someone who has an Airbnb makes in the same city can be different. It might not necessarily be the same. There are some people who run an Airbnb who make more money than people who are landlords. Next, the other thing to think about is this. There can be 2 landlords, meaning 2 people using the same strategy. This is just an example that I know very well. 2 landlords in the same neighborhood, in the same style house. As a matter of fact, it could be a townhouse community. And let's say it's a multifamily townhouse. They're not going to make the same amount of money. A lot of times, the house that is closest to transportation, particularly here in New York City, or in other areas, the house that's on the corner, because their lot is larger, they normally charge more rent. Okay? Then, on top of that, you don't know what their fees are. One person might charge higher late fees than the other person. One may charge higher fees as far as whatever damage is done to the property than the other landlord. Some landlords, even though they may charge less money as far as less rent, because they have lower turnover, in the end, they may make more money than someone who charges higher rent, who has a higher rate of turnover. Someone who is careful in choosing the tenants, and let's say you are in an owner finance or lease purchase lease option situation, the one who is better at choosing the proper homeowner is going to have less problems than the one who either is not careful or who relies on a realtor who does not care. Because I'm telling you, if you have the wrong tenants in your property, even though you may be charging a higher rent than the person next door to you, that tenant that you have, if they're bad, then you're going to have to go to court and evict them. Or if it's a homeowner, then you may have to go and foreclose on them. That is, if you're the note holder, because that happens as well. So a lot of things really depend. Next, the other thing that can eat into your profit is your taxes. Taxes in New York City can be anywhere between $8,000 to $21,000. If you're under the abatement program, of course, you're going to be paying $1,000 to $3,000. But let's go to Alabama. Alabama, the taxes are $500 for the year. So you see, there is a big difference. And you have to factor that in, or they don't always tell you to factor it in, but I think you really should factor it in when it comes to how much money you're going to make. Now, when it comes to flipping and rehab, a lot of times, to be honest, most people don't make money on their first flip or rehab. Sometimes they'll employ another strategy, like how I did, so that you can actually make money. Meaning, what they'll do instead of flipping, like if they lost money, instead of just saying, okay, I'm going to sell it for a loss, what they'll do is they'll become the landlord, or they'll do lease option, lease purchase, or owner financing so that they can actually get some kind of money back. That's what some people do. So again, what you should do, just to wrap everything up, is not to just simply say, okay, I should have 6 properties. What you should say is, I need to make X amount of money. And the amount of money you need to make depends on what your goal is. Like if your goal is to leave the 9 to 5 on a permanent basis, they normally say, get as much property where the income is equal from the property is equal to the income that you make on your job. That's not always easy to do because, Like in my situation, I get a raise just about every year. I don't think there's been a year that I didn't get one. So it's not that easy for me to do that. The other thing that people say is to find your freedom number, and then others just say, just get a property or get as many properties that will give you 6 months of expenses. Put that in your savings or checking account. That is what people have told me. So that is basically my answer to you. How many properties you buy depends on what your goal is, what your number is, and then you just buy as many properties that will give you the income that you're looking for, that you desire. All right. So guys, that's all I have for you tonight. Hopefully the information that I've shared with you will help you make smart financial moves. Remember, each one, reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.